So I'm a 90s kid through and through. Well, as far as cartoons go. Man, I grew up on shows like the satirical Animaniacs, the well-written Gargoyles, the genius that is Dexter's Lab, the badass but fun Powerpuff Girls, and the twisted comedic horror that is Invader Zim and Courage the Cowardly Dog. Also, for those that never asked, here's a picture of John Dilworth, creator of Courage. Now, I don't know about you guys, but he looks exactly how I imagined. Now, I'm not trying to diss or make fun of.
You look like a motherfucking
but if a random time-traveling stranger showed me a picture of Mr. Dilworth and said, hey yo, be careful, because this dude right here is going to create mad episodes that are going to disturb and haunt you in that order, I would believe them. I would believe this time-traveling stranger. I mean, he looks like the type of motherfucker that just gets his kicks out of ruining children's false sense of security. But yo, in all seriousness, I love the dude Dilworth. I respect his creativity. Actually, I love almost all the shows I grew up with. And I'm proud to say I never once questioned him from Powerpuff Girls. I remember when I first saw him, I was kind of just like,
oh, well, all right then.
Anyway, all these shows struck a chord with me, but none I fancied more than the 90s phenomenon known as Power Rangers. My mom would kinda just laugh when it was on, but my grandpa was an enabler. He liked that it was pretty much just a bunch of kids stopping bullies. He thought I could learn a thing or two from them, and learn I did. My grandpa is a cool dude, man. And today, I'm not only going to talk about him, but also I'm going to talk about how the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie became the greatest Christmas gift of all time. Let's get it. For those that don't know, Power Rangers began as just an American adaptation of the now classic Japanese hit series, Super Sentai. Power Rangers was created by Hayao Saban. Prior to the inception of Power Rangers, Saban was told over and over again that the idea was silly and that he'd be taking a huge risk. What with all the cheap aesthetic of it all, goofy villains, and not to mention the violence was considered excessive for a kid's show at the time. I mean, can you imagine how many pissed off motherly Karens there must have been when they saw their kids watching that?
Get off! Stop screaming!
Anywho, Saban was a real one, and he didn't give in to the naysayers. He created a show about teenagers with attitude who beat up intergalactic villains each week. Power Rangers as a series essentially went on until it mighty morphed into its own thing. It was around this time when the hysteria that the Rangers caused was at a boiling point. So Saban did what any smart businessman who owned a stupidly popular franchise would do: make a movie. Man, growing up, I was super poor. And that means no seeing the Mighty Morphin movie in theaters for this young blurred. But it's all good. It's not like I really loved Jason's boisterous attitude, or Trini's caring nature, or Billy's insane wit, or Kimberly's sarcastic rebuttals, or even Zach's effortless cool attitude towards literally everything. Nah. I don't like none of that shit.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never.
Yo, y'all know how it is. When you like something as a kid, you obsess over it. You draw fan fiction about it.
Oh my.
You write about it like I'm doing. Hell, you build friendships over these things. And my grandpa, well, he saw that in me. He saw how touched I was by this silly ass kids show. And with that, I think it's time we talked about him. So my grandpa, his friends and everyone I knew called him Danny Boy. He was smart, intuitive, and was basically an anime character if I ever saw one. Now, but for real, you know how in every shonen anime, there's like that one old dude that you just don't want to mess with? Yeah, that's my OP ass grandpa, man. He's essentially the Black Master Roshi, or rather, Roshi fused with Uncle Iroh. Pops was hella cool, man. He'd give you great life lessons one moment, then tell you about the time he met a pretty young thing back when he was younger.
Minetta, are those balls your hair or what? I don't get it.
My
How do you get a haircut?
balls? She wants to know everything about my balls. I'll spill my secrets.
Yeah, buddy. He definitely was a flirt, I'll tell you that. But always grounded in the moment he was. Excellent public speaker and amazing musician he was too. Now look, I'm not saying this to hype my old man up. He really was great with music. He'd travel and get invited to perform all over the state and even travel out of state from time to time. He understood so much and saw so much, which is weird to say considering he was blind. Oh yeah, did I not mention old Danny Boy was literally a blind old badass like you see in Kung Fu flicks? He was involved in the community. Hell, he even tried to teach me how to play the piano at a young age. Unfortunately, I didn't fall in love with it the same way he did. I grew up in the Baton Rouge, New Orleans area, and my heart was always in jazz. So I was always more interested in the sexy saxophone, baby. So yeah, that's Danny Boy. Effortlessly cool like my dude Zach, but had a commanding presence like Tommy or Jason. So when I'd watch Power Rangers with him as a kid and he'd give me real life lessons and examples based off things I watched in the show, naturally I'd listen. My time with Pops was always dope. He wasn't a perfect man, but he always gave me the tools I needed to be a defender of the people. Treat people with dignity and respect. But most importantly, he taught me how to be a good person.
Let's do it, guys! Right. It's morphin' time!
So, remember how I said I was too broke to see the Mighty Morphin movie when it first released? Well, quite a bit of time went by since then. My grandpa stops by one day, and he starts asking me and my twin bro and I, what we wanted for Christmas. Bro, without hesitation, the both of us at the same time was like, the Power Rangers movie. It's always been the Power Rangers movie. He seemed surprised because he wanted to get us something big, He's like, Grandpa, you wanted to spoil us. But all we wanted was just that movie. He then kept pressuring us to ask for something else, but we would not budge. Eventually, he conceded and he gave us a big hug. Fast forward a few weeks, and sure enough, come Christmas time, that movie was the only gift my bro and I got. Meanwhile, my little sis got all kinds of shit, but I wasn't jealous, not one little bit, because that movie was everything I ever wanted it to be. Shit blew my childlike mind. I watched it so many times, I had it memorized. Man, y'all don't understand. I love this movie. And honestly, there are still many reasons why I still, till this day, as a grown-ass man, love it. Great B-movie special effects.
Meet my kids.
Corny-ass one-liners.
Use you lose.
And the greatest villain to ever grace the series outside of Lord Dragon is Ivan Ooze.
I'm the galactically feared, globally reviled, universally despised. They call me Ivan Ooze.
Well, pack your bags, because we're sending you right back where you came from.
Shut the fuck up, Rocky. I once heard someone describe Ivan as Palpatine, but with a sense of humor. And that couldn't be more accurate, fam. I mean, look at this shit.
Do you want us to take another whack at it?
How about taking another quack at it?
In conclusion, Old Man Roshi always did all right by me. And I lost count of how many times I've seen this movie. I cherished it so much as a child. And one could argue that I care for it even more now as an adult because not long after, Danny Boy, my grandpa, he passed away. It was the last gift he ever gave me. And that's probably why when I tried watching it again recently, I cried. This particular video is dedicated to anyone who's ever had someone in their life who's helped mentor them, and also to anyone who's ever found love, friendship, and etc. through their mutual love of art. Thanks for listening, everyone. I know this video is a little different than what I normally do, but I hope you enjoyed it. And feel free to leave a like, comment, and tell me about how it made you feel. Until then, guys, this is Dez from Featuring Dez, signing out. Happy holidays.